Welcome. KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM with my co-host, Alex Grossman. Are you there, Alex?
I am absolutely here, Brien. How are you today?
I am doing fine. Well, to those people who have never, ever listened to Ask Brien, I don't know why. You obviously have issues, but I'm not going to psychoanalyze you right now. Ask Brien is AskBrien. Don't tell me it's IAN. Don't tell me it's YAN. There's only one way to spell Brien, ASK, and it's Brien. BRIEN. That's how you spell Ask Brien. Ask Brien is a website that was on AskBrien.com, and Ask Brien basically helps business owners solve business problems. We have experts. Certain people can qualify to become an expert. You need typically 10,000 hours of time or something, some basic award or something that you've done, an accomplishment in your life. You can become an expert on Ask Brien. Ask Brien then allows each expert to post webinars, videos, ebooks, whatever they want to establish themselves on the Ask Brien website, and business owners that have a business problem can ask an expert a question or other members of the community. That's what Ask Brien is all about. Ask Brien Radio is just a continuation of that, where we have a radio show every week where we try to help out solve business problems, interviewing startups, interviewing CEOs, and interviewing people just to solve their business problem. And my co-host is Alex Grossman every week. And today we have a very, very, very special guest. His name is Michael Yorba. Michael, are you there?
I am. Thank you for having me on the show.
Well, thank you. I know you're a very busy person, and we're very lucky to have you on our show today. So, got a couple questions for you. First of all, what is your background?
Well, your show is in Los Angeles, right?
That is correct.
In the LA area. My family is the first registered family of California from Spain. And so we go way back to 1769 in California. And I got into the investment industry at the tender age of like 19, back in 1980, and worked my way through several investment licenses, principals and futures, principals and private equity, and principals and options, and found my way into broadcasting and started a couple of shows, one of which was about market timing. Then I evolved into a show that does CEO interviews, mainly in the private equity, but we do some public equity conversations about similar kind of concepts and topics and problems that you face every day and that everybody else out there, it's an entrepreneur or a business person, faces every day. How do we resolve the issues that we wrestle with, whether it's valuation, it's capital formation, or it's marketing, which is not just as simple as marketing. It's how to get your message out and make a conversion to enrich the value of your culture, your business, and your shareholders. Does that help?
That helps a lot. And if you came here in the 1700s, your family, and then bought a couple miles of land in LA, they'd be pretty wealthy today, I imagine. So, question for you: are you based in California currently?
No,
Dallas. Okay. A lot of land over there too. Now, do you consider yourself mostly focused then on finance, like a financial planner concept? Or do you focus yourself more? Would you see yourself more of like a VC or more of a radio personality?
I see myself as a helper of my fellow mankind. Companies will come to me. I talk to them about what makes them different, why they're disruptive, but also capital formation. And then we have a portfolio of family offices, investment banking companies, hard money lenders for bridge. And I try and get them over to the right people at the right time so they can come back and we can talk about the success story, what they've done on their own, or what they've done with our help. So it's not just a radio personality. It's actually an integral part in helping them grow their business through messaging and then networking to the right people, whether it's an advisor or it's a funder. Does that help?
It helps a lot. Would you consider yourself, do you have like an accelerator program, a mentorship program where you help companies succeed?
Not myself, but I have several accelerators and mentor programs that I introduce people to when the need arises. One of which is right out there in your backyard.
And that's in Santa Monica, Los Angeles?
Santa Monica.
That was a good guess. What,
Good guess,
of all the companies that you've worked with in the beginning, what do you think is the most successful company?
I'm going to have to say, now that's a hard one to answer because success comes in different measures. Let's just talk about monetary for now.
Okay.
I had a company who does bridge loans for companies. They was capped at $10 million per entity, and after one show that he did with us, he had a couple of people from the audience called him up and joined forces with him, and he went from $10 million per entity to $130 million per entity overnight. I would call that the quickest rise to success in recent history. That was just one example. I have a lot of success stories, but I don't want to suck up all the air in the room with me.
Well, that is quite an amazing success story. You're telling me, so one company, they went from 10 million to 130 million in a couple weeks, a couple days?
Yeah, it was almost overnight, yeah. It was pretty fast.
Well,
He knew how to handle it, though.
That's Uberish. Created into a new word.
Try to find a unicorn or two.
Unicorns are always good. Alex, are you still there? Because I haven't heard from you.
I'm just pretty amazed about that. I mean, Michael, that's really a huge success story. Having, started a few businesses myself and been involved, the growth curve is always difficult. You get to a certain point where you're doing rapid growth in the beginning, so to speak, and then you get to a point where any bit of growth, scratching out 5% or 10% is really hard. And, when you get to the max of the company or the company is in substantial growth, seeing people grow in hundreds of percentages a year is really hard. Seeing people grow overnight like that is really spectacular. So that is truly a success story. But my question is really more about what is the average you're seeing? I mean, what would you relate the assistance in here to seeing? Are there averages? Is it 5%, 10%? What do you normally see out there?
We deal with a very different kind of animal. Most of the people that come to our show are expecting really strong growth, and you can have that in the beginning. So we'll see anywhere from, say, a 20 to a 300% ROI over a short period of time, because that's the niche where we're at. Once you plateau out, because not every company can grow at that growth rate. It just doesn't happen. It's not sustainable. The niche that we work with is where that rapid growth occurs. So the numbers that I work with wouldn't work for IBM. You couldn't grow like that. They don't work after Uber got a few years into it. They kind of taper off. So it's kind of deceiving, but that kind of growth rate only happens in the beginning stages of some kind of an entrepreneurial endeavor. So I don't want to mislead the audience and say that it happens across the board, but we get some pretty extraordinary numbers and some great success stories that come back only because of the stage of the growth path that we're in, or the value curve that we're in with the companies that come to us. So hopefully I answered that without taking too long to being too wordy.
Yeah. No, so that leads me to two more pieces in there that are kind of interesting. So the first piece is that most of the companies you're working with, are they in any particular sector that you're working with? I notice a lot of your background is financial background. So they mostly in the financial sector? The second part of that question is, I'm just going to go back to that example from 10 million to 130. Now that's not an early stage growth company. That's a company with revenue already established. I mean, if you are in California, for instance, if you go from 0 to 10 million your first year, you are in one of the top 10 companies in California as entrepreneur small businesses. So it seems to me that's beyond that entry small business piece. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on both those areas if you can.
Sure. The first question was, what are the sectors and silos that I work with? The main ones, as you'll see on the front page of the website, WFN1.com, is finance and investing, medical and biotech, blockchain and cryptocurrencies. But we have other sectors that we work with, and we're going to start spinning up some shows in these sectors: energy, entrepreneurship, green tech, health, law, leadership, marketing, personal finance, real estate, technology, training, veterans, and a women's show. So there's a variety of industry silos we work with. The ones that we're seeing the biggest growth rate in is obviously, blockchain and crypto is real big right now. And then fintech, different forms of financial technology that are coming to the forefront. Does that kind of give you your next question again one more time?
Yeah, and so that's great in there. And the second question was really, well, once we understand the sectors, it's interesting to see where you see what stage in the company in a revenue style here. So we're talking about top line rather than bottom line. What top line revenue do you see the biggest growth? So, it depends on obviously the sector the company's in before you get any traction, but where do you generally see that?
Right now, we're seeing a lot of cryptocurrency industry sector movement. A lot of exchanges are popping up. I've got one that came to mind. He was recently on the show, a gentleman by the name of Pace, and he's starting a new cryptocurrency exchange for people who aren't familiar with cryptocurrency and trying to get into it and participate in it, because most people out there missed the Bitcoin run, from whatever, 300 to 20,000. Now I think it's back around 5 to 6,000 right now. I haven't checked today, but does that help on the industry sector that's really getting the biggest pop?
Sure. And Brien, if you don't mind, let me just pursue down a little bit more. I want to talk about the Bitcoin or the cryptocurrency piece of it. So, I work with a number of people who are really hot on blockchain. Blockchain is, as a technologist, blockchain is very hot. It can be used well beyond the cryptocurrency piece. It's fantastic for moving things across the internet and securing things and being able to actually predict certain things across the internet, which are good. But are you finding that a lot of this is driven by people getting in and managing the money or managing the technology? Where is the money being made? And the part of the question you didn't answer is, as a startup or as someone just getting into crypto, what is that baseline top line revenue where they start seeing the growth?
Number one, it's really, for what I come across, it's managing the technology, because this blockchain is really a great lead-in for all the smart contracts that are coming about through the blockchain technology, which, Bitcoin is a blockchain, but it's the technology. And to answer the other question about the growth, it's a whole new world out there. It used to be that you had to get a couple of years under your belt to get revenue streams that are anywhere from $500,000 to $3 million before somebody really wants to take a look at you and put some more money in it and get a big move. Now it's almost a reoccurrence of what happened during the dot-com bubble. I'm not saying it's a bubble coming up, but it's that same euphoria that's going on. You can just have a great idea and come up with amazing valuations while you're pre-revenue. And that's what we're seeing in some of this biotech and blockchain and crypto silos that are coming across our desk and our show. Does that give you a direct answer?
Yeah, that's great. I think that really sums it up a little bit. It's the, again, technology sectors, if I can coin that, and the hot pieces. I mean, it's not the well-established market segments, so to speak, where you're seeing this growth. It's in some of the more lucrative areas. So, Brien always used the example of, well, I'm a dry cleaner. I don't think you're seeing that type of growth from the dry cleaners, but definitely across the tech sector of some of these hot areas then.
Well, let me follow up on that. Let's say that we had a company that was a dry cleaner that was on the show, but the difference is they had a dry cleaner that was a delivery service also. So and it had blockchain involved in the smart contract process. So I'm seeing technology being integrated into old-fashioned, tried and true businesses that are now turning a new leaf in the valuation curve, which is a shorter period of time than it used to be, so that they can take advantage of the technology and start anew. They're a whole new company now that they put this technology into an old type of business. Does that help?
Sure. Now let's talk a little bit about you. You've been mentioning for a couple times you've been talking about smart contracts, and I think a lot of our listeners probably aren't familiar with that. Although, I know a little bit about it, and I realize it has to do with blockchain, and it decentralizes the system. In fact, if you could just back up a second, talk a little bit about blockchain and then smart contracts, I think people would really get the idea of how all this works.
Blockchain, simply put, is a methodology to keep track of everything that happens in a transfer of information or the transactions that occurred along the way in an overall process of commerce. Hopefully I worded that correctly.
Can you give us an example?
Sure. Let's say that you've got somebody that, let's say that I have somebody that I want a whole bunch of reporters out there using their cell phone to be able to get paid every time they send me an article. So I would need a way to track and to disperse funds for the people that log onto my website, produce a video from anywhere in the world, whether they're shopping or they're reporting on an event, and I'll pay them based on their posting of their journalistic article on my network. Well, that's okay if you got 1, 2, or 3 people, but when you start getting a scalable model where you've got people all over the world saying, this is great, I want to be a reporter, how do you keep track of? Accounting is a nightmare unless you have a way to track who the money, 1, who posted the journalistic article, and 2, how much are you paying them, and how are you getting the money to them? That's a smart contract. It keeps track of all of that for you and then logs in your accounting system to make sure that this is the incoming and this is the outgoing and that this is what it looks like on your taxes at the end of the year. That's a smart contract.
Yeah, that's great. The term I've always used is a decentralized digital ledger because, blockchain works in ledgers. So I love that smart contract concept because, it takes people out of the middle of this. You don't have people managing this. Everybody manages it on their end. It's completely decentralized, but it's completely managed, and that's where blockchain really comes in. I mean, in fact, I think the blockchain concept from a technology standpoint, a lot of people use blockchain today or touch blockchain today without ever realizing they have, right? That's what's really exciting about it. And so I can see where people getting into that business sector, we're reinventing a lot of ways that systems and things are being done, like smart contracts. So who is picking up the smart contract piece? Like you mentioned reporters in the field, but who else is using that? And are business people using it? How is that being picked up for people to make money on that?
Well, if you don't have blockchain over the next 10 years, you probably won't be in business. You're going to have to adopt it. But I'll give you an example. I had a company called Ubitar Play.io, and this is a company that allows you to shop for somebody else with your cell phone, go into Paris and shop for dresses or hats or cars or what have you. They can go out there and do anything, and then keeping track of the transactions that occur on that. You can do it from anywhere in the world. There's another company that came on the show the other day. I don't have the name on top of my head, but you have a radio ad that's playing on your car. You're driving down the road, 80 miles an hour on the freeway, provided you're not in rush hour traffic in L.A., and you want to remember that ad But by the time you get out of your car, you probably forgot about the ad. You got too many other things to do. You got to rush to. You just click on the app on your phone when that ad hits, and it'll save it for you. And then it'll keep track of the transactions that occur between that ad, the advertiser, and the end user. That's another example of current technology for a smart contract process.
Well,
that makes sense?
Yes. Fantastic. Go ahead, Brian. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Don't worry about it. We're about ready to take a break anyway. We're going to be right back with KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM with my co-host, Alex Grossman, and my special guest, Michael Yorba.
The best live theater can be found right here in the Santa Clarita Valley. The Canyon Theater Guild has been entertaining audiences for decades with top quality musicals and plays. Located on Main Street in Old Town Newhall, CTG also offers workshops for the young actor in your family. For more information, call the box office at 799-2702 or go online to canyontheater.org.
When you're looking for a midnight snack, sometimes fast food just doesn't cut it. California Bakery and Cafe is open 24/7, so you'll be able to find fresh donuts, danishes, bagels, all-natural fruit juices, gourmet sandwiches, and much more at any hour. With elaborate cakes for any occasion, including weddings, baptisms, anniversaries, corporate events, or any special event. California Bakery and Cafe in Santa Clarita is open 24 hours to satisfy any craving, anytime. Call us, 255-1254. That's 255-1254.
Great healthcare just got easier and more convenient in Canyon Country. Facey Canyon Country is now open directly off the Soledad Canyon exit off the 14 freeway. The 37,000 square foot clinic houses Facey Medical Group primary care physicians, pediatricians, and specialists. Facey has easy 24/7 online appointment scheduling for PCPs and PEDS. For more information or to make an appointment, visit facey.com. That's FACEY.com.
Save water and save money. SCV Water wants to help you find your fit and take advantage of conservation rebate programs that will help you save. Find the programs that fit your needs and start saving today. To learn more, visit conserve.yourscvwater.com. That's conserve.yourscvwater.com.
I'm Janet Demeter. My son Jack was born in 2008 on a Saturday night. But 5 weeks later, our family lost everything in the Merrick fire. And then we moved to Santa Clarita, where we live now. Jack was my shining light in those days. He had this huge smile that would make me feel like everything was going to be okay. But when he was 3, our sweet boy was diagnosed with DIPG brain cancer. 9 months later, we lost Jack. This is something I never want anyone else to hear. So I started working to raise awareness. I contacted my local officials, and Steve Knight was amazing. Not just his staff, but Steve Knight personally. Congressman Knight has authored many bipartisan bills signed by presidents from both parties. That is why I was thrilled when he authored HRES 69 to bring national attention to childhood brain cancer. Steve Knight, to me, is the perfect example of a local community leader working on behalf of the people he represents. Thank you, Steve.
I'm Steve Knight, and I approve this message.
KHTS. Now FM, 98.1 FM, and AM 1220, your hometown station.
Shadow box. Welcome back. It's the Ask Brien radio show, ASKBRIEN, and we're listening to 1220 AM and 98.1 FM. Got to get those little quirks out there, guys. Alex, you there?
I am absolutely here, Brian. Really excited about our guest and hearing some more from him today.
Well, we have a very special guest today. He's got a lot of background, a lot of knowledge. He's been with a lot of successful companies, including his own, and his name is Michael Yorba. Michael, you there?
I am. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So we were talking about blockchains and technology, and we're getting just about into the point where we're discussing how do you get your message out? And you're going to go into that with us. How would somebody get their message out? What technology would they need to do that? And how could they get their message out so somebody knows who you are?
Well, thank you for asking that question. I gave a talk, a thought leadership talk last night on this topic, and we're having a real ground shift in media, a real paradigm shift. And one of the conversations I started with last night was, when you go out to a concert or a speaking engagement or anything, the first thing they do is tell you, turn your phone off, turn it to stun, put it away, I don't want to see it. Well, I told everybody, don't just do it. Turn it on. Take it up and turn on all of your streaming sources, whether it's YouTube, it's Facebook Live, it's whatever it is, whether it's Instagram, what have you. Turn it on and start broadcasting, because now everybody is, like it or not, they are the star of their own broadcast. And it's all about the individual message, getting it out to the public, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Telegram, audio, video, podcast. We're all in it now. So one of the things that I've found that is resonating the most with me, I was talking to another guy, Stephen Little, and he focuses on valuation curves for people. And it was the conversation went into, what are people using media for? You used to have to go into a studio all the time, where there's a television or radio studio. Now your studio's in your hip pocket. And the audience right now, instead of the madman model, they're going into the individual branding model. And everybody that I come across now is validating their association and their beliefs through the expectation of constant feedback and interaction. The public wants to be a part of the show. So we used to watch I Love Lucy. We'd sit together as a family unit, and that was our family unit. And that's as big as it got. Now, all of the people that are anywhere from 10 to 40 are extending their family units through social media. But they're doing it to get fulfillment. And they want fulfillment from brand loyalty through identifying with the mission statements and the practices of the companies that they're buying from. That means the leadership has got to show what their belief system is through the C-level organization all the way out to the end consumer. And it resonates with them, and they end up, if they have a belief that I have a guy on the show, he has a home delivery food, kind of like Meals on Wheels, but it's $4 a meal. But out of that $4, he's giving to charities. Out of the $4, he's giving to plant new trees. He's doing something to give back to the community, and that's what we're seeing the buying patterns on, is take something that you have and do good for somebody else, instead of creating a culture of, it's all for me. It's all about the bottom line. It's all about the greed. It's not playing anymore with our new customers. In the next 3 to 5 years, if they don't believe in your cause, they're not going to buy from you. But if they do believe in your cause, they do believe that you are somebody that they believe in, they will be your advocate. They will go sell for you. You don't have to hire 3 salesmen. You've got an entire group of clients and customers that are your salesmen, because they believe in your message. They identify it with that in their core belief system. And the one other thing that where I see it going, gamify and interactivity with the clients. Everything is getting gamified. I don't care if it's telemedicine and they're helping people solve hearing problems, or if somebody shopping because they saw a picture of some supermodel or some actress and says, oh, she's wearing those shoes. What are those shoes? And I believe in what she's doing. She's not all for themselves. So that's where I see getting the message out is they want to know who they're buying from, not just what they're buying. Does that make sense?
Well, I have a follow-up question, which is going to take us way, way, way back, and that is the first question that everybody always asks. after you've built up a system, after you've built up a network, a blockchain, whatever you're doing, you know, you've got numbers out there. But that first one is always the toughest. The first sale is always the toughest. The first show is always the toughest because you've got nobody at that point. How do you go from 0 to even 10 or 0 to 100 or 0 to 1,000?
You got to reach out and call somebody.
So, for instance, you're sitting around watching the TV show Lucy, your family's there. You've got 4 people, 5 people, however size your family is. Now you're trying to create a Facebook Live or podcast or something, and you've got nobody. You may have friends. You may ask your friends to watch the show, but that's just your friends. How are you going to get that first group to come to you? And I know I'm putting you on the spot, but I like to do that.
That's okay. Yeah. That's all right. I get to. That's my job. I get to be on the spot all day.
And I'm a lawyer by trade, so I always put people on the spot.
That's okay. You got to make a friend, and you have to keep making friends. You do.
So it's one at a time, is what you say, to get going.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's why in capital formation they always start out with, "What's the friends and family round?"
Exactly.
And it grows from there.
Friends and family, and then who's in your contact list, who's in your Rolodex list, and then from there, then you can start getting new.
Yeah, then you become an influencer as things go on. But that's it. You have to make a friend who tells a friend. The oldest sales process in the world is referral.
And it's also the best way in the world for almost any business. I can't think of any business that referral isn't the best way to get sales or clients or anything else in the world. Because once you have those referrals, those are golden. You have to do advertising and everything to get it bigger, but the referral is definitely the way to go. Alex?
Hi, just listening as well. I love the referral idea is really something we talk about all the time, especially for a lot of the people that listen. Smaller companies, it's built on reputation and referral. And it's also built on getting the word out. It used to be the good old days where if you had a brick and mortar installation, everybody walked by you, or in a lot of main streets, where the radio studio we work in is. It's a main street. People can walk right by, and they're going to see a new business, and you're probably going to get some business that way. But in many towns, you don't have that. You don't have that, right? There's many different ways people go. There's freeways and highways that avoid a lot of those main streets. So brick and mortar doesn't get the word out as much, and you have to rely on advertising, and you don't have those hometown newspapers that people read anymore. And I don't know when the last time I saw Yellow Pages was, and I'm not even sure I use Yellow Pages online. We all use that one tool, Google, and you have to have that. You have to have that visibility out there. So growth comes from visibility and telling people what you do, and then, as you said, it's all referral, and people buy from people. So you have to do a little bit of marketing of yourself as you get out there, no matter what business you're in.
You got to make a friend.
I think it's.
Well, do you
think it's making a friend?
Do you think online or offline is easier to get those first sales?
These days, online is easier.
And it's easier because you have a bigger amount of people that could potentially see your ad, or is it more because, what do you think is the reason for that?
Because it's easier to meet the friend of a friend of a friend through social media now than it was 200 years ago. You had to travel from one town to the next to get outside of your market area and expand your business. You could only go so far inside that small town where you were trying to sell the corn or the pig. Now, it's global. That's how these companies do it now. I mean, it's all about the net.
So it's a bigger TAM, right? It's a bigger total overall market, or accessible market than you have when you're local. If you're local, your TAM is going to be, a percentage of the people in town. If you're global, it's a percentage of the world population, for the most part.
Exactly.
Is that the way you see it?
And somebody from Hong Kong can resonate with your message and be your client now through social media. or they like the way you gamified your product and they want to play, or they love the incentive that you've got that allows them to get, like, you know how Facebook has been kind of raping the world with data since they started, and they're the only ones that got paid on the data that everybody was giving them for free all these years. Then the truth came out. Well, now people are demanding that they get paid on the data they're providing to, if you will, the middleman. They sell it to the high-end Saatchi and Saatchi, the advertising agency, or even the end customers, Boeing, what have you. Now, everybody says, if you're going to use my data, I want to get paid on it. It's my data, like my genome. So now everybody wants to get a piece of the pie, and that's the incentivization of where I see the world going when it comes to getting back to the original question, how do you get the message out? You got to share the wealth, man.
Do you know of any companies that are paying customers for their data?
Yeah. Not only that, I've got a couple of this one called Algebraics. You pick out who you want to allow to advertise to you, and you get paid for providing the data when you purchase from the companies and only the companies that are allowed to advertise to you. Because I want to know about camping, I want to know about cars, and I want to know about makeup. Okay, I'm going to pick those categories, and those guys in those categories can advertise to me. Whatever data you get off of me, I want to get paid on. Yes, Algebraics here in Austin, Texas has one of those processes. They're on the show the other day. That's where it's all going. Share the wealth, do good for other people, and make a friend.
There were companies, there was a company, I think it was called Net Zero, I believe, back in, 15, 20 years ago. They offered free internet service, and they would advertise to you, and I bet you they were probably tracking your data as well way back when you get your free internet service through that. So, I mean, it is an interesting concept. Obviously, nowadays, my understanding is even companies such as Apple with Siri, all the information that you're reporting on Siri is all going directly to Apple, Alexa as well.
Oh, yeah. Sure. That's happening.
Yeah. Information is value. I mean, realistically, the reason Google gives you a free search engine is because they're basically learning all about you. They want to map the human brain and how it works. They don't really care giving you search information. The more search information they learn about you can be directly used to market to you because they know where you search. But in general, it's to take it in and to codify how people's brains work. So, that's been coming for a long time. And I think there is money in giving people that information in other ways, right?
Well, it's not just that. It's not just knowing where you search. It's being able to anticipate where you're going to search next and being there when you show up.
Yeah. Well, obviously, that's one of the results of that information, right? That's what's really, really interesting about that is that today we use AI and machine learning, and you can do a lot of predictive information. You can sell that predictive information as well. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, did you guys hear the story about the Stephen Colbert and this young girl named Lizzie Koshy?
No, I did not. Did you, Alex?
No, I don't. It sounds interesting.
It'll drive the story that we're talking about home in dollars and cents. Steve's interviewing this young girl. I think she was about 22 years old, Lizzie Koshy. And she was all excited about being on the Stephen Colbert show. She was in awe of being there. He says, I don't know what you're talking about. You're the star here. She goes, what do you mean? He says, look, I only have 4 million viewers a night. You have 10 million viewers a day from your YouTube videos. That's 2 billion views with 4 to 5 employees compared to the entire staff, the overhead that Colbert has for his show. That translates into 2 million CPM cost per 1,000 units. So that little skip ad that you have on the videos when you see what have you, you have to sit through 5 seconds of that. She makes $6 million in 30 months doing nothing.
Wow.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, the internet is very powerful, right? I mean, there was an article not too long ago to talk about the number of Anderson Cooper, who is very well-known journalist. The number of people that he gets on his live show, he does something called Anderson Cooper 360, which is actually, broadcast, and he gets a fairly good share on there, somewhere, 75,000 to 100,000 people watch that. But that same piece, he's trying to move it to the internet, hasn't been successful. But if you look at other people who have internet-only news shows, they will get 750 to 1 million viewers, and they'll have subscribers on YouTube in the tens of millions. And you don't find any television news program, I mean, likely not even CNN or Fox or MSNBC, that can boast those kind of numbers. So the internet is powerful, and it's worldwide. So
Well,
I think you're 100% right.
Let me case in point, and I don't know if you know this, but the New York Times has fewer correspondents than BuzzFeed, and just one outlet, Snapchat, is where 17% of Americans get their news from.
Yeah.
20 years ago, we would have like, what are you crazy? And my lawyer, my in-house counsel, has 4 children, one of which has graduated law school, the other one's going to medical school, the other one is a purple-haired artist, and the other one's a bartender. 62% of Americans are cableless now. Not one of those 4 kids, and they're becoming productive members of society at one level or another. None of them watch cable TV. Now, I said, how many of them pay their cable bill? Some live with us, some don't. It's just 0.
Not even ESPN?
No. They go to the sports bar if they want to watch that, or they watch it on their phone with their pals.
That is truly transformative. And I guess it's only going to get even more so. I mean, what's interesting, though, is the AT&T is buying all the cable companies, so it doesn't sound me to be a very good investment from what you're telling me. If the millennials
Not unless they're going to completely integrate online broadcasting into it, which they should be smart enough to figure out how to do that. They certainly have enough money to do it.
Well, not only that, they got the phones. I mean, if you have the AT&T phone or the Apple phone on AT&T or Verizon, I mean, that shouldn't be too hard to get the streaming online. And once they get the broadband a little stronger. So,
yeah, but
go ahead.
We've kind of driven it home. Where and how do we get a conversion to keep our businesses afloat, let alone flourish, in the next 3 to 5 years relative to the new consumers we get to deal with whether we like it or not?
Well, absolutely. We're going to be taking a break. We're KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. We'll be right back.
Daily Imprints is the premier one-stop shop for custom embroidery, screen printing, and promotional products in the Santa Clarita Valley. Owners Joe and Dana have provided KHTS with quality embroidered company shirts for over 3 years. If it's new business cards or promotional products you need to enhance your image, Daily Imprints is the choice for you. Located on Lyons Avenue, stop by or call today, 661-678-0508.
Genghis Khan Mongolian Barbecue and Chinese Buffet, healthy vegetables and lean meats, a low-carb treat. Create your own bowls with our delicious meats and always fresh vegetables. Then, blend in your own secret sauce. Feast at the all-you-can-eat buffet and barbecue for the same low price. A local favorite for over 25 years, Genghis Khan is still located on Lyons Avenue just east of the I-5. Enter between the Chevron and Shell gas stations. Come and see us soon at Genghis Khan.
If you're in danger of losing your home to foreclosure, you need an expert. Hi, I'm Rich Sherman with Alta Realty. I've helped hundreds of Santa Clarita residents save their homes completely for free. I've got just over 20 years experience and a loan modification success rate of over 80%. I can negotiate better terms with your bank and I can save your home from foreclosure. And again, we do this completely for free. So if you're in any danger, please call me today at 661-714-1400. That number again is 661-714-1400. I'm Rich Sherman with Alta Realty, and I'll be happy to help you save your home for free.
Finding the right lawyer can be a challenge, but in Santa Clarita, there's no need to search when there's Hacker Law Group, Santa Clarita's premier litigation firm. Jeffrey Hacker has represented celebrities, financial institutions, accident victims, real estate developers, realtors, contractors, businesses, nonprofit organizations, and other individuals and companies with their legal challenges. Mr. Hacker is one of Santa Clarita's leaders, consistently listed as one of our most influential. When everything is on the line and you need legal counseling, visit hackerlawgroup.com.
Santa Clarita's hometown station. Hometown station.
KHTS AM 1220 and the new 98.1 FM.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're listening to KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM, the Ask Brien radio show with our co-host, Alex Grossman, and our special guest today, Michael Yorba. Michael, you there?
For having me on the show again.
No problem. Couple things before we got about another 6 minutes left, and one of the things some of our callers have been asking is, so how would they go to listen to one of your shows? Where would they have to go for that, and how can they do that?
The easiest place is W as in world, F as in finance, N as in news, the number one.com, WFN1.com. And all our stuff's there. You find us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook. Just, or Google my name. It'll come up. Or YouTube.
And how many shows do you think you've done the last 12 months?
Sorry, the phone faded. How long?
In the last 1 year.
Oh, gee. I'll have to add that up. But we run, I was doing a show 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, for this last year on iHeartRadio. And then we switched to, that was just 3 interviews a day. And then we switched to television a couple of months ago. About a month and a half ago, we do 5 to 7 CEOs a day, so several thousand.
Now, you said television.
12,000.
Are you doing television on your own? Are you producing it and then putting it on TV, or how does that work?
Yes, we built our own television studio while I was doing the radio show, and then we converted from radio to TV format. We used to do a live, interactive streaming show, but we're video on demand right now until we decide to go live again, and we'll create interactivity with it. We did it before Twitter was around.
Wow. That's a long time ago.
Yeah, before LinkedIn and before Twitter, we had interactive, we had a shout box, and you could chat, type in the question, I relay it to the guest, and the guest would answer the question. That's what I was talking earlier today about the interactivity. And we did it, we were always beating Bloomberg and CNBC on the web rankings. There was a fight for 2 and 3, and we were knocking them out. Kind of pissed them off.
Well, that's pretty good. It's a pretty good, amazing thing with everything. Alex, you got a question?
Actually, Michael, I was going to ask you a little bit about some of your guests. I had watched a few of your shows, and you have a variety of different people on from all these areas that we had talked about. And I noticed that often a lot of the people who are entrepreneurs, this is their first gig. I've seen that quite a bit, and they get into it for a lot of various reasons. What do you usually see as the driver for people to get into and start their own business?
The people that come to our show have a deep-seated passion for what they're doing. That's what makes them successful. I'll give you an example. Don Morphy. There's a guy named Daniel Mulford. He is one of the top world-renowned fashion designers for men. Prior to this, 3 years ago, he was an engineer for Walmart. He said, I do this anymore. I love fashion. I want to dress well. And he created the fashion brand, went to Tuscany, decided what he was going to, met with all of the top fashion designers for men. 3 years later, he's on GQ. He's all over the place.
Wow. That is
incredible.
Quite a shift.
Yeah, it's passion. To answer your question directly, it's a passion for what they do, and they made it into a business. So work isn't work anymore. Work is play, and I just happen to get paid for it.
Well, that's absolutely every book I've ever listened to or read, I should say, has always had the same concept. Passion. If you have passion, you can only have to go to work. You're not really working. You're just, having fun. That's the best way to do it. But I mean, we're talking about an engineer who gets the clothing. I mean, that's quite a difference. I mean, you would think his passion would be, if he's a civil engineer or whatever he is, of building things and constructing things, not building and constructing a clothing line. So that is quite a distinction there. We've got about 1 minute left.
More than you think.
Did you say something?
It happens more than you think, but yes. And you were going to ask me if somebody that you knew wanted to be on the show?
Yeah, if somebody wants to be on one of your shows, how would they do that?
Top left-hand corner of the homepage, WFN1.com, it says book an interview. Just click on it, fill it out, send it in. If you've got a company and you're a CEO that you've got a passion and you're bound for enterprise, in the enterprise path, that's where you go.
And you're doing podcasts so people can hear you anywhere in the world. Is that correct?
Yes. We haven't been pushing the podcast, but yeah, we do have them.
But your shows itself are worldwide, correct?
Yeah, they're global. We have people coming in from Tel Aviv, Geneva, South Africa, Asia, all over the globe.
And I guess I just got a nasty gram from my engineer, who probably is going to get in the clothing business at some point in the future, that the show is over. So, Michael, I'm so glad to have you. We'll have to do this again sometime. Alex, my co-host, thanks for being here. And KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. And we're going to be signing off.
Preschool in the Santa Clarita Valley. At Little Eye Leaders, our outstanding teachers lead with intellect, perspective,